We've already finished looking at our 5 ties in English, but I did want to just show you one more thing about the verbs do and have, because many times people aren't really sure, is it a verb or is it a X word, because they do look the same and the spelling is the same, and it's easy to confuse them. But in British English, have the verb can be used to make negative and can be used to make questions. For example, have you a match, or I have not any time. But in the United States, when have is a verb, we have to use the X words do or does or did depending on the form of the verb that we have. So maybe quickly we can just run through this because we've seen all these ties. It's just a quick review of the verbs do and have because we can confuse them. So for example, let's take a sentence like Miriam and George. Maybe we'll just say they. And we can say they do the laundry on Friday night. Now, this is an affirmative sentence. We know that negative sentences always contain an X word. So to make negative, I'd say they do not do the laundry on Friday night. And to make a question, do they do the laundry on Friday night? We see that the subject is they. It's between the two X word places. Do, of course, ties with they. Do ties with the present. And do also ties with the verb do. This is the base form. He does the folding. Now, is this an X word or is it a verb? When I see does by itself, I know it's a verb because the X word does always goes together with a verb, the base form. He does the folding. Negative, he does not do the folding. Yes or no question, does he do the folding? He is the subject. Does the X word ties with he? Does the X word ties with the present? And does the X word ties with the base form do? They did the laundry last night. Now in this sentence, the X word places are empty. And we'll take a look at the ties. They did not do the laundry. Did they do the laundry? The subject is they. It's between the two X word places. Did ties with do. Did, of course, also ties with last night. Do is the base form. Let's take a look. She has a lot of laundry. Now, it wouldn't be unusual for someone to say, oh, right away, has is the X word. But actually, it looks like an X word, but to make negative, we must say she does not have the laundry. To make a yes or no question in English, we ask, does she have the laundry? That makes she the subject. And does ties with the subject, the X word. Does also ties with the verb have. That's the base form. And of course, does ties with the present. They have many responsibilities. Again, a lot of people would say, oh, have is the X word. But it's not. Instead, what we need to do is we need to make it negative. They do not have the X word. They do not have many responsibilities. Do they have many responsibilities? They is the subject. Do the X word ties with the subject. Do ties with the present, and do ties with the base form have. Do they have many responsibilities? They had free time last night. They did not have free time. Did they have free time? They is the subject. Did ties with have, the base form. Did ties with the past, yesterday. In our affirmative sentence, had is the past form, ties with yesterday. We can see that when you have do or have or has or had in a sentence alone, right away we know it's a verb because we always have to have an X word to make negative, and we have to have an X word to make yes or no questions. Let's just take a look at these last few. They have done the laundry. The X word is have. Have they done the laundry? That makes they the subject. The X word have ties with the subject. The X word had ties with the present. And the X word had ties with the DTN form done. He has done the laundry. Has he done the laundry? The subject is he. Has, the X word ties with the subject. Has ties with the present. And has ties with the DTN form done. They have had a long week. The X word is have. Have they had a long week? The subject is they. The X word have ties with they. The X word have ties with the present. And the X word have ties with the DTN form had. And last one, they had many things to do. Had they had many things to do? The subject is they. Had is the X word, it ties with the past. Had is the X word, it ties with the DTN form of the verb had. And we can see that when you have, for example, do in a sentence by itself, it's a verb. When you have does in a sentence by itself, it's a verb. When you had did in a sentence by itself, it's a verb. To make yes or no questions or negatives, we always need an X word. So there's going to be an X word together with a verb. She has a lot of laundry. Here we have only one word by itself, has. We know it's an X word. We know it's a verb because the X word has always ties with the DTN form. Here, has is alone. We know it's a verb. Have, it's a verb because there's no X words with it. And there's no verbs with it. It's by itself. So this was just a quick review. We have already seen all the ties, but I just wanted to make sure that when you see have or has as verbs, you don't get confused and wonder what we have here. So there is one more exercise to do that goes together with part F. Excuse me, this is really part F, not part E. And then please check your work with the answer key, and then we'll be ready to begin lesson 5.